I started to kind of look over something. And that's my bread and butter. I'm talking about the World Television Championship. Now, for week in and week out, and all the months since I've been champion, I went right on this TV, put my reputation on the line, defending against top names. Garvin, Wahoo McDaniels, Rhodes himself, Robert Gibson, Ricky Morton. I'm still a World Television Championship. You see the little misfortune we've had within the Horsemen. I'm talking about Tully Blanchard. The whole scheme of things, professional wrestling, any sporting event is based on one fact. It's called human error. If there wasn't human error, any sporting event would all be equal. If everybody was perfect, there would be no winners and no losers. But one brief little setback does not inflict on the Four Horsemen regime, if you understand what I'm saying. But what it did to me, it did make me realize, snap me back to reality. So on any given night, when two top professionals enter the ring, anybody's can get beat. So that kind of snapped me back to my bread and butter, the thing that qualified me to be one of the Four Horsemen. So Rhodes, Garvin, Wahoo McDaniels, Rock and Roll Express, Dick Murdoch, I don't care who you are, just remember one thing. I'm on my tiptoes. I know you're after me, so when we crawl in the ring, same storyline. One fall, 20 minutes, and there's not an individual on the face of this earth can beat me in 20 minutes. Let's make an example out of a couple of punks.
Ole and Arn Anderson, and now they're going...
Skills and vocabulary too. All the hits in this edition is all brand new. You're through. I'm interplanetary like Doctor Who. So who?
Fuck your beef, no relief. I step on stage, girls scream like I'm Keith.
What's up, everybody? Recording live from somewhere. Ring Time Pro Wrestling is at it again. Keith and Keisha in the building. This is the first podcast from the new digs. Keisha, say hi to the people.
Hey, everybody. Hi. Hello. Today has been a somewhat wonderful day. I'm tired, but I'm good. You know, I'm here. I'm live. I ain't gonna be too loud, though. It's a baby upstairs. So... But I'm good, though. I'm all right.
All right. Trying to make sure everything is closed up and functioning properly. Because it's the first podcast from the new place. There's some adjustments that got to be made. I'm in my own place now. In my own little office. I'm not, waiting for everybody to go to bed so I can have the living room to myself. Or the dining room table so I can record. Problem is now, these ceilings are a lot higher than the other ones. So, I just want y'all to be patient with me as I learn how to adjust the sound quality. But, yeah, Ring Time Pro Wrestling, back at it. I'm not promising that we will be here every week because that has fell flat over the past 5-6 months. You know what I mean? But we will work hard to try to give y'all some high quality audio, some good wrestling content.
Correct.
So that's that. Like I said, I just moved into a new place. It's the last move I plan to make for a very, very long time. I am a homeowner, and with home ownership comes a lot of stuff. Keish, you have to buy a lawnmower because you have grass now, and somebody doesn't just come cut it. Found that out.
I'm not trying to live that life. So, well, hopefully when I own a home, I have a husband that can cut my grass. So I ain't worried about that. And if he don't cut my grass, then I want us to be comfortable enough. We hire somebody to just come do that shit every once in a while. Because I ain't got time. I'm gonna tell you right now, I ain't pushing on my boy.
I'm just gonna tell you that if you got a husband that don't cut your grass, I know the men in your family, they're gonna talk about him pretty bad. So,
of course they are.
Just saying, no shade. They're just gonna talk about him very bad, repeatedly.
It is what it is.
But we are in the saddle. We haven't recorded in a while. Like I said, I thought I would do something different today. So what we're going to do, we're not going to talk about a lot of new stuff. I will give you the current status of G1, which is almost over, and give you some ideas and predictions. We're going to do a little bit of WWE, like, hey, this kind of stuff is happening, but not too, like, it won't be a hardcore SmackDown, Raw recap kind of thing. A lot has changed, though, since we recorded last. We got a new NXT champion since the last time we recorded.
That's right.
So, how do you pronounce Tommaso's last name? Is it Ciampa or Ciampa?
Ciampa.
Ciampa. Now, you know why I'm confused, right? Because there's no H. There's no H in Ciampa.
Yeah, you're right.
But we pronounce it Ciampa. But there's no H. It's Ciampi. Man, that's Ciampa where I'm from. But, you know, that's fine. I will let them have that. Can't tell a man how to pronounce his own name. That is fine. But that's neither here nor there. We're going to get into some stuff. There were some tragedies that happened while we were gone. So I'm going to get into it. R.I.P. Brickhouse Brown. And you're probably saying, Keith, you said R.I.P. Brickhouse Brown the last time you recorded, like 3 weeks ago. Funny story. So, Brickhouse Brown, wrestler from the Texas territory, Louisiana, Memphis area, black guy, of course, had reported that he had passed away from cancer on July 20th, correct?
Right.
Around the time we recorded. Brian Blair put it out, people from California Alley Club, like, it was confirmed. He had passed away, Keish. It wasn't like we were just going on rumor and innuendo. It was confirmed Brickhouse Brown had passed away. Well, they thought he did, apparently. So, the people came in, the people came in at the hospital and pronounced him dead, like the doctors and the people who do that kind of thing. And, you know, his mother was there, and she sat in the room for a while because she was tired. She had been at the hospital for a long time. You know how it is when somebody's dealing with that, right? Well, she fell asleep, Keish. And when she fell asleep, she thought she heard Brickhouse calling her name. And, you know, she thought she was dreaming that Brickhouse was talking to her. And she woke up, and he was asking her for something to eat.
What?
Yeah, no, apparently death came for a 2 count, and he kicked out at 3. They had called the match. It was like 2.5. The man kicked out at 3. The man no-sold death. Crazy. So, he ended up living for another 9 days, and then he passed away. Officially, July 29th. His funeral is actually scheduled for tomorrow. But yeah, crazy.
Yeah, you right about that.
It is like, I can tell you the stuff about his career. Nothing probably is more legendary than that moment right there. Nothing more legendary. That man, like the doctors, the professionals came in and was like, oh yeah, he did. Cool. Let everybody know. We'll be back in a little while, you know, to get the guy. Because that's how they do. Like, unfortunately, I'm very familiar with the process.
Yeah.
And Miles fell asleep in there, and she heard somebody calling. She like, hey, that sound like my son. Wake up. He like, yo, I'm hungry.
What? Right.
Out of all the things, he's like, man, I'm hungry.
Because
you was dead 5 minutes ago.
I'm running. Like, there's no, I'm done. I'm running. Like, I'm not even coming back. He was dead, now he's not. Negative. No, I'm not even going to play with this. Like, because when get alive and be like, I'm hungry. No, what? No, I'm out. Where are your organs? Like, what? No, I'm not finna play. How? Like, Did they not do that part yet? Like, what is? Because I look over and be like, nope, I'm out. I'm out. I'm not even gonna play with y'all. No, I'm out.
No, I mean that's what happened. Crazy. So that happened. G1 Climax is going down the final stretch. It's kind of tight. Okay. IWGP champ Kenny Omega is tied with Tetsu Naito, winner of the last G1 Climax. In Block B, both have 12 points. Kota Ibushi has 10. And those, they're kind of running away. I mean, Sonata has 8 and Zack Sabre has 10, but I don't count them doing anything, right? In Block A, Hiroshi Tanahashi, the legend, the OG of New Japan Pro Wrestling, I equate him to the John Cena of New Japan, has 14 points in Block A, followed by Jay White and Okada, who both have 12. Now, how does this shake out? Ideally, I think Jay White might take it all. I think Jay White might find a way to win Block A and then beat Omega or Naito in the finals. And that's who comes out of Block B. I don't see Kenny Omega winning this thing because he's the champ. He's not going to face himself at Wrestle Kingdom.
Right.
Which, it could be an interesting booking thing because if he wins, then maybe the challenger. I don't know, right? Could you imagine if the WWF champion won the Royal Rumble?
Yeah, negative.
Right.
I don't even. What? No.
So,
right, what
I think it'd be interesting booking, but that's what this would be equivalent to. So, I'm pulling Omega out. Naito, I think Jericho might show back up and cost Naito something. Kota Ibushi would be interesting. It'd also be interesting if it comes down to him and Omega in Block B because of their relationship and where they currently stand. Right? So, just things to look out for. Pull up your New Japan World app. Watch a little bit. See what's cracking. Alright, so WWE. Keith, we're going to go a little gloss over. Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar are going to be at it again.
Like, I'm so sick of this narrative. Like, it's just irritating now.
Here's the thing.
Like, why?
Yeah, I'm not. Funny thing is, I don't even think they face each other as much as we think they have. It's just that Brock has held on to the belt for so long, and somehow Roman keeps ending up in like potential top spots.
Right.
So, I think we think more. I don't know. Here's the thing. I don't think this does anything for anybody. Right?
It doesn't.
And I don't know what the long range game is. And this ain't gonna get Roman over. Like the whole idea of like Brock is the part timer, Brock is a UFC guy, the thing he's doing with UFC. Nobody really cares. I think they've taken a lot of steam out of the thing that they use. I don't know if I can book my way out. I guess that would be the challenge. How do I book my way out of this and make this compelling? Right?
Right.
Which, I tell you, I'd be showcasing the SmackDown guys a little more. Because they have the compelling storylines and the compelling feuds and stuff. Also, as far as Raw, the thing I'd be trying to figure out is, what's my pathway to get Seth Rollins the Universal title? And then I'd build everything else around that. I need to get the belt to Rollins, and then everybody else will fall in line around that, right? I don't want to go to the Braun Strowman answer right away because a lot of the thing with Braun is going to be the build and how he sets up. Because once he gets there, it's going to be kind of anticlimactic. Because it's kind of like, once he gets the belt, who's going to take it?
Right.
Because we've built that guy so strong. It's like, who's going to take it? And then you have to have a run where there's not even a possibility of somebody taking it. Because, I mean,
right.
Y'all done had this guy flip trucks and cars. Like, I don't believe anybody can beat him. So, there's that. Now, some more positive things that's going on since we've been gone. The Women's Evolution pay-per-view was announced. That's going to be huge.
Now, I'm excited about it. I am. I have my doubts though, and the reason why I say that is because WWE loves fucking up a good thing. So I'm hoping that they do this correctly. They do this right. You know what I'm saying? And they do right by the women. All of them. I'm just not talking about the most popular ones and like Bayley and Sasha. And I'm talking about all the women. You know what I'm saying? Because y'all talking about having an entire women's pay-per-view. Like, make this an actual pay-per-view for them.
Yeah.
Not only that, but make sure that there's not like just 4 or 5 matches and then that's it. You know what I'm saying? Like, standard pay-per-view, still have the kickoff show like you normally do, still have the 2-3 hours, however long it is. I mean, I'm not looking for your link, of course. I'm looking for a standard pay-per-view, showing. Do this for the women. You know what I'm saying? And you know what's crazy is because people can't just let folks live, right? So I know that when it was announced, like there was actually men, like male wrestling fans that were like, oh, so they're having an all-women's pay-per-view? Like, where's the all-men's pay-per-view? What? What are you serious?
Okay.
Because if you didn't, I was like, did you not watch the Greatest Royal Rumble? Like, I just want to know. Because not only were there, granted, I understand it was because of where they were and all that kind of stuff, but it was still an all-male pay-per-view. Like, I don't even want to hear that shit. Like, don't.
Here's the thing, Keith, this is the problem with the internet, right?
I don't want to hear that shit.
This is the problem with the internet. Everybody don't deserve a voice. Everybody don't deserve to speak their mind, right? Now, and I know it sounds bad. It sounds hypocritical for somebody who has a podcast who basically says, hey, I need to put my thoughts out on audio for the world to hear. But, I'm going to say this. We have too much exposure to morons, right? Like, that's like the men's rights activists, right? Like, when I saw the first time I saw that on the line, I was like, oh, God. That is probably equivalent to, I don't know, the heterosexual activists or the white, rights for white people. That kind of shit.
Right.
You got all of it, right? Here's the thing. I'm not even going to speak to the Greatest Royal Rumble, Keish. I'm going to say every wrestling pay-per-view in the history of the sport, right? Because up until, let's say, 2 or 3 years ago, you couldn't get more than one women's match on a pay-per-view. All right, quick quiz.
Right.
How many WCW pay-per-views historically have women's matches? I bet you could count them total on one hand. ECW. AWA. You know what I mean? Like, if you start going down to pay-per-views, at best you could get one match per company. And, like, still... This is what I don't know. No, I don't count those because ECW and WCW and maybe AWA, maybe. But I know ECW and WCW definitely. They didn't have women's matches. And if there was a women's match that existed, it was a match. It was that bullshit that WWF was doing during the Attitude Era where they had like that cat faces like Terry and they ripping off each other's clothes and all that foolishness. It was some shit like that. That shit don't count. They weren't wrestlers. Like, come on, man. But that's the point.
Don't insult my intelligence like that. Like,
but that's
don't play with me like that.
Yeah, that's the point. Like, there are no these guys. I can't understand why people get mad. But you know what? It's just like how when Marvel announces that, hey, for this round of comic books, Spider-Man will be black. You know what I mean? Or Thor will be a woman. Or, you know what I mean? Anything of that nature, right? There's always this group of people who get pissed because they feel like they losing something. And I don't know. Like I said, you can't account for morons. But I will look at the positive. One, I think it's going to be a good show. And October 28th is when it's happening. So we got a couple of months to build. Ideally, for me to sell this show, if I book it, it ain't necessarily about the storylines per se as much as it's about blockbuster. So I don't know if Sasha and Bayley are going to be the women's tag team champions at the event or after. The participants in the Mae Young Classic, will they be able to be in it? Because I think you can use some things of that nature. I'd have an all-women's battle royal. I'd have a tournament for something. And I think my money match would be Charlotte versus Ronda Rousey.
Right.
I think that's the match. Which, in theory, I would try to get that in SummerSlam. Not SummerSlam. At WrestleMania. But the key is, if I really want this thing to be successful, that's a match that I'd have to figure out how to get booked for that night. Or put them in like a Survivor Series style match where it's 5 against 5. SmackDown or Raw have representatives or whatever.
Right.
And they face off for the first time in that match. And maybe not even face off. They don't even enter the ring at the same time. Like somebody gets bumped out, somebody gets DQ'd to get somebody else or whatever. And they just lock eyes. And you have a moment. But they don't really have any physical contact. And then you start building the thing for them to WrestleMania. That would be the linchpin of my thing. Because from the moment they stepped in, Charlotte is the standard bearer for the women's division, right? Like, she is going to make a legitimate claim for greatest women's wrestler of all time. And I mean, she has this is what the short career she's had. There's going to be a legitimate argument, right? Like, you have to put her in there with whoever. Rousey, I don't know what the ceiling is for Rousey, but I'll tell you this: she's a natural, she's good, and she has a name value, which is what they wanted, right? This is what they paid for. But I think she has really worked hard to learn, because when I watched the match with her and Nia Jax, I was like, this shit is compelling. Like, I'm really like concerned. So,
right.
My idea would be built to that. Even though I think so far, I don't like the way they've used Ronda Rousey all the way. I think they've done some things that's a little too common. I think I probably would have had her wrestle on Raw so quick. I would have still made her a big event, pay-per-view attraction kind of thing. But all in all, I'm very excited about the Women's Evolution. They're talking about bringing back different ladies to have them participate. Honestly, I think if they ran it like they do NXT TakeOver or any, like, a traditional pay-per-view, right? Like, as we were about to talk about SummerSlam 2001, Keish, you want to know the time on that show? Like, the total time? 2 hours and 42 minutes. That's what we were looking at. Having WWE Network and you watch it on the tablet, you can see where it is. It says 2 hours and 42 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was a perfect time. Like, not too much and not too short. You got about 7 matches in. I think that would be good. I think I would use it. I would showcase my ladies from NXT, the ladies from the Mae Young Classic, and your Raw and SmackDown roster. I think you can come up with a lot of creative matches. I think you can have things that will affect the long-term storylines on both brands and really do a good show. Also, that being said, Mae Young Classic, last night, Parade of Champions. I think that's what it was called, Parade of Champions, or was it Parade Stars? They introduced all the ladies that's going to be in the Mae Young Classic, right? Two ladies I was excited about. Former TNA wrestler or Impact Wrestling, MJ Jenkins is going to be in the building, wrestling the Mae Young Classic. And Mae Young is back. Keish, I don't understand why she is not on the full-time roster, as I've been fully signed by these people. I don't understand it. But she's back for the second time, and I expect a strong showing.
Right.
But
well, hopefully she makes it past the. Well, I'm hoping that she makes it past the first round, and that we see her go further into the tournament than the last tournament and whatnot. I think that the after the ladies this year for the Mae Young Classic is pretty awesome. I haven't looked through some of the profiles yet, but of course, some of the women we already know. A few of them that participated last year. Matt Rain, who I was actually really shocked about, but not really out because I'm like, hey, you know, I knew there was going to be some women that were going to be injected into this tournament that, of course, had WWE, which most of them, but also those the veterans that we, you know, that have wrestled in other companies but haven't wrestled there on WWE stage. So I'm excited. I definitely did watch the parade of champions for the ladies. I actually can't wait to see the tournament start. I think it's going to be very interesting, to say the least, but especially to see who wins this year. And I'm glad there's some repeats. I'm glad that there's some repeats because it's just, to me, it makes it more interesting fight. Because if this is your second time in this tournament, then of course you want to fight harder than everybody. You want to put a stamp somewhere into this tournament that says, hey, I want to be in the WWE ring. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to how it was last time. You know, oh, I'm here, I'm going to do better than the last. And I'm definitely going to outshine you because I know this is a lot more to me than it is for you in this moment. So I'm stoked. I love the fact that they, as a company, have decided to really give women the forefront. You know what I'm saying? To trust them enough to not only have their own pay-per-view, but main event pay-per-views and having their own, you know, giving them their own lane, really. Still allowing them to just be, instead of them being like, oh, this is, like, I know they still do it for NXT, but instead of being like, oh, this is a women's division match and, you know, all that kind of shit, it's just like, all right, we on to the next match. Everybody's called a superstar. Everybody's, you know, it just makes them feel at home. And, you know, WWE, of course, has some of the best wrestlers I've ever seen. So I'm thoroughly stoked about this entire situation as far as the Mae Young Classic and the women's and the WWE Evolution. It's intriguing. I'm just waiting to see how it goes. I will be watching the start of the Mae Young Classic, and I definitely plan on going through the profiles of all the ladies.
Yeah.
You know, who my favorites are, you know, all that kind of stuff.
Right. Speaking of women tearing it up, Keish, Monday Night Raw, this coming Monday. Get your popcorn ready.
Right.
This is long overdue. This is something that should have happened a long time ago, and I thought this person would be like a permanent in the booth on SmackDown. Coach is going to be out. And Renee Young has been announced to be sitting in the seat as a part of the 3-person team calling Raw. She's going to call the whole show as play-by-play. And, well, I don't know if she's going to be play-by-play. I don't know if she's color. I don't know because it's Coach's role, I guess. But either way, Renee Young. So it'll be Renee Young, Corey Graves, Michael Cole in there doing Raw, the whole show. I think it's going to be awesome. I think Renee is a rock star. I thought she should have had this kind of position a long time ago, and I thought she gonna kill it. But yeah, Keisha's going down. She is gonna be doing the announcing. Can't wait. Now, on to some other things. Now, we're going to get into the news, and we're going to run through that, and then we'll get to our main event, which is SummerSlam 2001. We are jumping in the wrestling time machine because I felt like as SummerSlam is next week, and we'll preview SummerSlam, and we'll preview TakeOver, one of the greatest SummerSlams of all time was 2001, so I figured we'd talk about it. But let's get back to the news, because Keisha, all kinds of shit is happening. So, NXT, we got a new champ, and Keith Lee made his debut. Man, exciting. They say the WWE is very aggressive right now. They are looking to sign a lot of talent because of the All In event that's going down in Chicago. And I'll tell you about more people who are going to be on All In. And New Japan and ROH both try to do Madison Square Garden, which WWF tried to block, but they still made it work. They feel like the competition in the United States is ramping up. So now they need more talent. So they go try to sign Shane Strickland and Pentagon Jr. So we'll see how that works out. Poor Impact. Right. Shit. Anytime you start getting, any kind of growl. In jacked up news, Keish, Colt Cabana suing CM Punk over legal fees.
Really?
Yeah, man. This is what the word on the street is. So they just had this lawsuit with Dr. Amen or whatever in WWE, and WWE was backing the doctor or whatever, right?
Right.
So Punk and Cabana had to defend himself about the podcast and all that. Which, damn, all this happened due to a podcast, Keish. Fuck, we are screwed if we ever get sued. Because I ain't got nothing. You know what I mean? I just got this house. You can't take this from me.
Right? Now, at least you got that much. I don't even own my car. Like, I can't even. I'm still paying notes on that thing. Like, I ain't got nothing. I don't know what you gonna do.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah,
I'm just like, what? Who, what? But, yeah, that's kind of what was going on, Keish. It's like, these people crazy. But yeah, so this is according to the Chicago Sun-Times, so very legitimate outlet that's reporting this. Apparently, from the two Chicago natives, this is what happened. So, they was in this lawsuit. Colt is suing Punk, saying he acted with fraud, malice, and oppression towards him, and deliberate intention of causing him harm. It was reported that the legal fees racked up to about $500,000, and Punk said, "Man, that's 100% covered. Don't worry." Now I'm paraphrasing. I was a big WWE superstar. I got a mega deal from UFC. I write comic books. I got money. Don't worry. We'll use my lawyers. We'll be fine. Apparently, they had the same legal team, and then at some point, Colt had to go get his own lawyers. So now Colt got legal bills. Punk like, fuck that, yo, you figure it out. Colt like, what, man? Right. Now, that sounds a little janky. And could CM Punk just be that much of an asshole? Because, I mean, this is his thing. He got everybody into this. Your best friend lets you use his platform that he built. Colt built that independently on his own, right? Not because he was Punk's best friend. Before a lot of people knew they was friends. Colt gave you a place, a safe space where you can spit your venom and you can say what you had to say in an environment that you can feel comfortable in, and you can get your side of the story out. That's what happened. Shit went left. You said some things that maybe could have got y'all sued, and it did. But by the grace of God, Lord, the judges figured that you had a right to say what you said. So now This dude got legal fees because you don't want to pay him. Sounds a little fucked up. You know what I mean? And I'm not, because I think if you listen to me in the last few times I've mentioned CM Punk, it sound like I don't like him. I don't know him not to like him. But I know what an asshole seems like. This seems like some asshole shit. And I'm sure if he had the opportunity to defend himself right now, he would make some impassionate plea of why he was right and still would be dead wrong. Because that's the kind of person he is. But fuck that. Pay the legal fees, Punk. Well, you're going to have to because you're getting sued. Like, I don't understand how this has got this far. This is supposed to be your man's. Now, word on the street was that he had a little bit of heat after the podcast because this is what happened. Colt still trying to have a career, right, in wrestling. He still works in wrestling. He works for Ring of Honor and New Japan, right?
All right.
Well, one of the things he's been really getting into is the announcing and, commentating. I think he had a tryout with WWE after all the shit happened. And I think Punk took that as a sign of betrayal. But which is consistent. I believe that to be true because what have we heard from guys who he used to work with WWE? Corey Graves was his man. Hell, Corey Graves used to look like a CM Punk tribute act. But Corey Graves is like, look, man, dude won't even fuck with me no more. Jericho, like, I'm trying to talk to him, dude don't even want to talk to me. Dude ain't return a text. You work for Vince. He'll want to holler at you. So, that's kind of what it is. Like, he hang out with Batista because Batista's on the outs with them. Batista can't stand them right now. But I bet you if he was in good graces and hanging out with Hunter, I bet you wouldn't talk to him. So, I mean, it's that kind of thing. So, yeah, I believe it. I just think that's just jacked up, man. Like, this dude is an asshole. I don't know if getting rocked in the UFC did hurt him or something, but shit. If your man was down with you and y'all got this thing together, you told him I got it, which apparently my man got receipts. He got the text messages, which also, hey man, in 2018, if y'all gonna do, you gotta do what you say. People gonna pull receipts.
Right.
That's why, like, Keisha, I don't understand dudes who do like dirt, like how they be cheating on the girls and stuff like that. Fuck that. Cause all that shit gotta do is screenshot your ass.
Right.
And you stuck. What you gonna do?
But, okay, so, but see, with all of that being said, like, see, I can believe it. I can believe that he really did tell that man, I got it. And then later on was like, no, I got mine, you take care of you. I believe that shit. Right, because his track record hasn't been too clean with things. You know what I'm saying? Like, once he went through all the stuff with WWE, like, it's one thing that you went through the stuff with the company, right? But at the same time, you can't expect, like, all your friends to just hop up and be like, oh, well, you know, since you're suing them and you leaving and you can't stand them, you know, or whatever they did to you, I should do the same thing. No, negative. Like, this is where they work. This is their job. They still work for the company, whatever, and they figure, you know, oh, we can still be cool. Nah. He was just like, okay, nah, you work for Vince? Nah, negative. I'm out. You know what I'm saying? Like, you didn't want to talk to him and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, it's one thing to, because with all stuff that happened with Vince and okay, that was business. That was business. It became personal to you, and you decided to take it out on everybody else. So with Colt, it's like, all right, when y'all went through the soup, you went through the soup together. Now all of a sudden, is every man for themselves? You know what I'm saying? Like, you told this man that you was gonna take care of you. What is it, that you ain't got no more money? Like, what, you broke? You ain't broke. come on, man. Be real. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's be real, but let's really be honest about this situation. You just didn't want to do it. You decided to cut that man off. You know what I'm saying? You decided to just cut the cord and be like, all right, I'm out. You single him. Like, are you serious? I really honestly believe, like, he's that much of an asshole. Like, I do. And I'm not going to take that back. Like, it's crazy because it's like, all right, you're CM Punk. I don't care what you call yourself now. I don't care what you change the name to, whatever it is that you go by at this point. You're CM Punk. You will always and forever be CM Punk. To every wrestling fan, to everybody that watched you from the days you was in ROH and wherever else until you got to WWE. So at the end of the day, like, for you to just spit on what made you famous is like, all right, bro, like, damn. You know what I'm saying? I don't love wrestling anymore. Okay, cool. Well, you know, you get your ass whooped in UFC, but you know, it's whatever. But I'm like, but for you to just cut off everybody, alienate yourself, and then for you to do that man like that, then you gonna text him and shit. Like, oh yeah, I got you. Like, why would you do that? Like, come on, man. For real?
He told me he got him probably before shit went left, but
still, why would you text that shit? Like, what are you doing? Like, what is that? Because what did you feel like at the time? Yeah, you know, I got the means, I'm good. And then later on, you was like, nah, you know what I'm saying? I ain't even got it. So you decided to change your mind. No, you need to honor what you said. You need to honor what you said to that man, and you need to call it a day. Instead, you decided, you know, I'm just going to let it be.
Right.
All right, go on, figure it out for yourself. For real, though? Yeah. Negative. I just can't. I can't.
Yeah. So, back to the news. Kierra Hogan says Ember Moon jacked her gimmick.
What?
Yeah, that's what's out in these streets. She was interviewed at the fan where it was, but Kierra Hogan, who you could hear in an interview that doesn't relate to that, but she was on the Wrestlecast a while back, but recent enough where you can still pull it up and find it. Impact star, local Atlanta legend, Kierra Hogan, trained down at WW4A with the legendary Curtis Hughes, where Mr. Hughes was training down there, AR Fox and all those people. Yeah, she said that the flames and the fire and all that stuff, she said she had that shit first. Ember Moon went and jacked it. She said to try to put it on Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch wouldn't handle it. Ember Moon said, I'll take it. She said her and Ember was tight. They was cool back in the day. Ember said, hey, once she got on with WWE, I'll help you out. I'll help you get on here. Ain't heard from her since. That's
really?
That's what's out in these streets, Keisha. Once again.
I find it might be a flaw in that story. It just sounds like there might be a flaw in that story. You know, maybe it's just me. You know, of course, I ain't never seen Ember Moon really give any interviews or anything outside of, like, her promos and, you know, whatever. But at the same time, I follow Ember Moon on Instagram, right? And, you know, people can doctor things up to look like they're, like, the most wonderful person ever.
Right.
Out in the world and whatnot, but then, like, behind closed doors, they're a complete asshole.
Right.
But it's like, for you to be like, all right, yeah, we was cool, you know, she was my best friend or whatever, and then, like, yeah, she got on with WWE and she just left me behind, you know, and all that kind of stuff. It's like, all right. So is this true? Like,
it's more like,
or are you?
It's more of what she's saying. Look, she checked my style. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's more of the thing. It's not even about like she left her behind. It's more of, she checked her style. Yeah, I'm gonna get you the actual quote. Yeah. It's in Ringside News. I mean, it's on all the sites. Kierra Moon, rip it off her gimmick. Yeah, that is how this is phrased. Yeah, the girl on fire gimmick. She said she started doing it. First she saw that takeover, was like, what the fuck? And yeah, that's what happened.
I guess I need to watch Kierra Hogan. You know what I'm saying? And I need to get similarities. Like, has she done anything kind of like make it seem like that their personality, like their, what is the word I'm looking for? That the ring styles is the same, you know, their appearance, you know, all that. Look at some pictures of Kierra Hogan. And I can see there might be some resemblance in things. You know what I'm saying? The hair and the clothes. But at the same time, it's kind of like, nah. Amber has her own style of dress and, you know, all that kind of stuff. So it's just kind of like, okay, like, did she really do this? Like, is it true? Like, or are you just saying that to get your name out there so that you can move on with WWE? Like, yeah, I need to understand what is really going on at this point.
I can't say it one way or the other, right? So that happened. Christopher Daniels and Stephen Amell, the Arrow, are signed for a match at All In. Just throwing it out there because it needs to be said. Last week, Keish, death came for the wrestling business. So we talked about Brickhouse Brown passed away on the 29th. Nikoli Volkoff passed away also. He was 70 years old. Legendary wrestler, Russian, 6'5" guy. Famously partnered with the Iron Sheik in the WWF. They actually won the tag team titles together. Was a good heel down in Mid-South. The guy was beloved by a lot of fans and co-workers. All the guys who ever worked with him had nothing but nice things to say about him. He was in that ground floor era. WWE Hall of Famer. He was in that 80s ground floor era. Like, when wrestling was monstrously huge. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, he was in the cartoon. Like, I feel like if you was in the Hulk Hogan Rock and Wrestling cartoon, you was big. Because him and Iron Sheik were part of the heel group. But, hey, man, that's when wrestling was nuts. Well, this era we're going to talk about later on the show. And the one I want to talk about the most was the death of Brian Christopher, a.k.a. Grandmaster Sexy, one of the members of Too Cool, also the son of Jerry the King Lawler, right? Brian committed suicide. He was 43, right? Keish, this is where it gets kind of like, because what I want to talk about is not so much the life of Brian, right? Even though I'm going to touch on that too, because I guess it's important to this discussion. But this is just a little bit more of a in-depth idea of like things and people and how people in society, we should be better or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. If you have anything negative to say about Jerry the King Lawler, if you got anything negative to say about the Lawler family, right? I get that. Because everybody ain't rosy, everybody don't get along in this world, everybody got beef, right?
Right.
This wasn't the fucking time to air your grievances.
It wasn't. Not at all.
Like, I'm sorry. You sit on that shit. If you wasn't talking about it last week, sit on it.
Right. Exactly. I really hated that people decide that this is the perfect time to get out what they got to say. No, this is not it. This is definitely not it. As a matter of fact, this is the worst time for that. Like, what are you doing? Are you kidding me? Like, you cannot you can't sit here and decide that this is what you want to do right now. Like, when somebody's family member just died, like, this man just lost his son. And, you know, regardless of how it happened or what happened or whatever, this is not the time for you to be like, oh, the Lawler family is this and the Lawler family is that and that. Are y'all serious? Like, are y'all really out here deciding that this is the perfect time for you to speak on what it is that you got to say about Jerry the King Lawler or Ryan Christopher or whoever? Like, no, this is definitely not the time for that. Like, everybody that decides that this is the time to speak your mind and whatever, you need to severely, and I mean severely, reevaluate your life. Shut up. Like we both, like you said earlier, Keith, everybody should not have a voice. Like, everybody shouldn't be allowed a voice. I'm sorry. Like, I do believe in free speech and all that kind of stuff, right? But I'm not gonna lie. There need to be some limits to some of this shit. Like, y'all out here deciding that y'all gonna just completely destroy the family of a man, and you know what I'm saying, of a person that just, are you kidding me?
Yeah, no, they should have never gave some of you niggas internet access. I mean, that's just real. But here's the thing. I just felt like that was tasteless. I thought it was tasteless speculating on what here's the thing with suicide. I don't know what gets anybody to support a suicide, right? I know everybody's situation is different, and I know everybody, the people who do it, they have their reasons. I'm not here to speculate on the reason, and I'm not going to try to lay the feet at the blame of the king, right? Or the idea that maybe Brian felt a lot of pressure and he never could live up to the legend of Dad and this, that, and the third. Because here's the thing, Brian to me had a really good career. I watched some of his USWA stuff because you can pull it on Amazon Prime Video. The guy's talented. He was just a smaller guy, unfortunately, when the company was still the land of the giants, but he still found his own niche and how to get over. Very independent of his father, even though his father had some hands in it. You know, you didn't know that was Lawler's son until they told you, right? Right. But he did have some personal issues, and he was dealing with some substance abuse demons. You know what I mean? He had the incident where he got in a fight after the show and all that stuff. That all being said, I mean, once somebody takes that step, you gotta let all that shit go, man. Just positive vibes toward the family. Pray if that's what you do, but just don't be a dick. That's all I guess I'm really saying about that. Don't be a dick. Don't take this time to decide that now all of a sudden you want to try to get famous or something. Don't do that.
Exactly.
All right. I think I covered all the news and notes, right? No need for a break, I guess. I guess we could just go ahead and wrap this thing up and go. SummerSlam 2001, Keish. Mm-hmm. So, basically, this is what happened. The invasion angle has already started. So, the demarcation is WrestleMania 17. Greatest WrestleMania of all time, possibly. Right? The company is on absolute fire at this point. Can do no wrong. WCW is closed. ECW is closed. You are the last thing standing from the Monday Night Wars. And you've signed up most of the talent. Right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
The only thing that makes this thing not as good as it could have been were some things. There's a lot of factors, right? Like, I'm going to give you the roster of everybody who wasn't there. And if you compare everybody who wasn't there to who was there, you're like, oh, no wonder this thing, everybody was like, oh, it was a disappointment. Because when I was watching it live, I didn't feel like it was a disappointment. In 2001, I didn't feel like it was a disappointment. But rewinding back in my mind and looking at it like, oh, that could have been really good. But here's the things you had no control over. Triple H was out. Quad. That's when he blew his quad.
Right.
Right? So, that's it. He's out. Benoit is out. Neck surgery.
Right.
Right?
Actually, none of the radicals were there.
No, Eddie was having personal issues, and I think they might have released him around that time. And he comes back, about a year or two later. But Eddie was gone, right? Do you realize if you have Triple H, Eddie, and Benoit, this whole thing flips up? And that's 3 people I've named, right?
Right.
You don't have Sting. Sting's still under the Time Warner deal. So is Hogan. So is Nash. So is Hall. Rey Mysterio. Goldberg. Keish. With the 8 people I just named, you could have had a promotion. You know what I mean?
Right.
They were missing. So what you did is that you had to put Austin on the alliance to make it seem reasonable that they had a chance. You had to turn him, which the storyline of him turning actually makes a little sense.
Right.
He felt slighted by McMahon, and he felt McMahon was grooming Angle to be the next guy. So there's that. I felt like they should have had WCW run their own television program.
They should have.
Completely separate of Raw and SmackDown or something.
They should have kept Nitro, and they should have just let it continue to be, until they decided to do it, go ahead and just combine everything.
Right.
They should let it happen. And then, if you really want to talk about like a religion, then you would have had guys from that company, from WCW.
Yeah, no.
Completely. They was already just like on 10, like just invade Raw or whatever, and just keep going like that. Just show up on SmackDown and all that kind of stuff. That's how it should have went.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing.
Part of how it should have went to me.
If they could have committed to running a show for WCW on its own, that could have gave them time to get guys in there. Because see, here's the thing. WCW had some guys who signed contracts directly to them. AOL Time Warner signed some guys to them directly for WCW. Thing is, when WCW dissolved, they still had the Time Warner contracts. Now, if they would have went and worked for the WWE, that would have shut down their Time Warner contracts, right? So, since they were being hideously overpaid by Time Warner anyway, because they were signing bad contracts to WCW,
right.
The thought process, Vince knew he couldn't pay them to match it. And even if he could match it, and he matched it for all of them, Keish, that's no incentive. You just matching it, right? So let's say I'm due $800,000 over the next terms of this deal. And all I gotta do is stay my black ass at home. You giving me $800,000 and I gotta go out and work? Fuck that. I'll take this free. And then when the deal was out, then I'll come. And that's what everybody kind of did. But it didn't work out for them. I don't know. Either way, I think people laud it as a disappointment. But I'm looking back at this SummerSlam, and it's stacked. Not a dead match in a bunch. Keish, the show opens up with Edge versus Lance Storm. Edge is not the rated R superstar yet. Him and Christian are brothers at this point. Like we don't even know that they're friends. Like I legitimately thought they were brothers. Like that was the billing. They were billed as brothers. But so I always honestly believed they were brothers. I thought Christian was just like the little brother. Very, very, very innocent. But anyway, Edge defeats Lance Storm and takes the Intercontinental title. Now, Lance was a part of the Alliance because he was part of, WCW coming over. Now, Edge beating Lance brings the Intercontinental title back to WWF control.
This is why, but this is the start of what I consider to be the biggest job in wrestling history. Period. The end. That's it. I really do. So when that happened, I was like, I said at the start there, at the beginning, you know what I'm saying? Because I just couldn't fathom, you know, why would you do all this? So it's with it, you know what I'm saying, the IC title. It's expected because of the difference. And then, you know, as the person you continue, I just realized, like, I was like, man, they really put some sense to this.
No.
And it's like, no, but y'all really just sitting here burying some of the best wrestlers that y'all have.
Well,
you know why?
That was the point. Like, I realized everybody wanted to know why Invasion happened the way it did. That was the point, Keish. The point was they wanted to bury everybody. Like, the whole show and the whole thing is about them burying WCW. So it's just like a long, dragged out way. Then what they did is they buried everybody, and then whoever could come back up from the ashes became stars. So Booker T becomes a star again, but we'll get back to that later.
Mm-hmm.
The Dudley Boys and Test defeat Spike Dudley and APA. Shane McMahon gets involved in the match. X-Pac, who was the Cruiserweight champion, the WCW Cruiserweight champion. Tajiri was a WWF Light Heavyweight champion. X-Pac was a unification bout, which brings the belts together. X-Pac is a member of WWE, but it doesn't seem like it because it's kind of like he's operating freelance. The match that this is where the show picks up. Jericho takes on Rhino. Jericho had not defeated Rhino prior to this. Rhino was the last ECW champion on paper. Rhino was, I guess, the muscle for the alliance. Mm-hmm. Jericho had his long-standing beef with Stephanie McMahon, and it was still going. So, you know, they sent somebody to try to take Jericho out. And it would have to be Rhino, and Rhino did not finish that job. Jericho actually won that match, which, that moment, Keish, this is the time when you start marking the ascension of Chris Jericho. This is after, you know, him and Benoit tag. This is after he may have won the world title from Triple H, but had to give it up on the same day. No, this is maybe the start, because you got to think within a year's time, Jericho defeats Austin and The Rock in the same night to be the first ever undisputed champion. That's still a thing. RVD defeats Jeff Hardy in a ladder match for the hardcore title. Because the hardcore title, what's more hardcore than a ladder match? Watching the match, I'll say, is one of those matches that took years off the careers of each of the competitors. Both of those guys were less for the wear and tear after that match. Mm-hmm. Both of them, probably need to soak in some Epsom salt. Like, it just was a bad day. But it was a good match to watch. Like, the show, it flowed. It had a good rhythm to it. And the matches had a certain level of progression to them. Right? So that was like your first... Well, the IC title is the first title worth mentioning. I don't really count the light heavyweight stuff. But then after that hardcore title match, it's like, oh, okay. Then boom. Tag team championship match. Kane and The Undertaker. WCW tag team champions. Taking on Canyon and DDP for unification of the belts, which is kind of weird because they really weren't unified. They were still treated as separate entities. As Undertaker and Kane both lost those belts separately to different teams. Neither here nor there at this point. But, yeah. So, they win that match. This match had a little bit of a creepier element to it because Taker and Diamond Dallas Page had their own personal issue because Page was stalking Undertaker's wife, Sarah. You don't remember Sarah, Keish. Or you may remember Sarah. There was a time where if you looked at the Undertaker's throat, it actually said Sarah. It don't say that shit no more. Undertaker's now married to Michelle McCool, and I'm sure that was a condition of them tying a knot, probably. I don't know. I'm not saying it was. I'm just saying. Seems like that's a condition you'd have made. Like, hey, if we're going to be a thing, you're going to have to cover that up. Which, if you ever want to know how tough the Undertaker is, to get a tattoo on your throat is one thing. To get one big enough to cover up the one that you had previously got is another. Also, needles, throat, scary shit. Very scary. Like, I'd be the one where like, oh no, it's happened. It's perfectly fine. Oh shoot, why is this guy supposed to stop bleeding? Yeah, that's my fear. Anyway. So Kane defeats an Undertaker, defeat Kane and the DDP. They got both of the belts. The way the match rolled, Kane got out of the cage, but DDP was stuck in there with Kane and Undertaker. They beat him to a pulp. And then they got the pin, and they were new WWF champions. But the situation seems far from over. So that happened. I mean, once again, the star power, all this stuff ramps up in the progressively building of the card, right?
Right.
Then the match, I don't know if Angle Austin was match of the night or not, but it was crazy, right? Because the energy of that match was crazy, and the crowd. And I can say that safely about the last three matches. The crowd was freaking amazing for this show. And it's almost makes you wonder, like, Keish, what happened if people still believed? Because it felt like these people believed.
Right. They did. Like, how could you not?
I'm going to tell you, the greatest thing about that match, the Angle Austin match, is JR's commentary. Because, see, the thing is, Paul is there. Paul represents the Alliance. He's the color guy. JR's the play-by-play. Heyman had replaced the King because the King was out because he had gave his notice because the cat, his wife, got fired. So King went with his wife, which is admirable and probably what you should do. But that brought in Heyman. So it was like, all right, cool. So Heyman and Ross are talking back and forth. They're doing a lot of banter. Austin represents the Alliance. Angle represents WWF, and JR gets emotionally invested like no other, man. He is selling the shit out of it. He yelling, he's screaming, and like Austin gave Angle about 3 stutters and got it kicked out of. And man, to hear Jim Ross the way he called it, the way he went off, and the way he was going at Heyman, I thought that was like classic. So.
I mean, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, it turned out to be a hell of a match. It ended in DQ because refs kept coming down and kept getting assaulted. Then the WCW ref came down, Nick Patrick, classic WCW ref, ran crooked and as a country road, and basically said, hey, Angle won by DQ because Austin beat up these refs, but Austin keeps his belt. They had an intense rivalry during this time. Which did make sense when they turned Austin to the Alliance later on because, I mean, not Austin, but Angle. But, once again, I think it's because they was running out of people, right? Like, you had to use WWE superstars to make this thing sound good. But, yeah, that was probably the match of the night. Then, The Rock took on Booker T for the WCW title. This was The Rock's first match back after WrestleMania. After WrestleMania, he got screwed by the McMahons and Austin, and when Austin turned heel, and The Rock went away. This is, I'm assuming he's filming Scorpion King at the time. But he comes back, and his first match back, he wrestles for the WCW title. This goes to your burying point. Like, we're getting the belt off of Booker T. He ain't even been fully in the company that long. You know what I mean?
Right.
I just thought it was a bad... But that's either way it go. I mean, The Rock at the height of his popularity is nuts. Like, it's nothing like it. Like, when he came to the ring and after the match, if you listen to the pop, man, oh, wow, and the sustained roar. People love it in a different way. But, yeah, Rock versus Booker T, very good match. A lot of different elements, different people coming down. Both of them had similar styles. Both of them had a similar move set. One guy had the rock bottom, the other guy had the book end. It was the same move, essentially. So it was kind of like a battle of that thing going on. Both were tough and aggressive. And I thought Booker T had a hell of a showing, though. I thought if you had never saw him wrestle before, you was like, oh, okay, so this is why he was a big deal. But let me see it. Anything you want to add to that main event or that wonderful?
I mean, I watched that pay-per-view more than a few times. You know what I'm saying? And every time I watch it, I find something new about it that I didn't see before. And it's kind of like, I appreciated at the time the pay-per-view for what it was. But then when, you know, I got older and I watched it, I'm sitting here looking at it like, bro, this is just.
Yeah.
There were things about it, I guess, that just were just awful. It really was, and it was only because of the simple fact that I knew that they had the potential to do way much better. They did. Even with the main players that were going that you had already stated, they still could have done way. You know what I'm saying? And it could have produced a better product. It could have been more of a feel of a storyline, because, you know, the invasion lasted a few months. So it was kind of like, all right, so y'all done signed some of these people on. They finished that whole bit, and then they were out. You know what I'm saying? There was nothing else they could do.
Yeah.
So it was just kind of like, all right, well, I get that part, but damn, did you have to, like, bury every single champion that was, you know, a part of WCW and whatever? Like, did this really have to happen?
Yes, it had to, because this was Vince stroking his own ego, right? Like,
of course,
it had to happen. Like, they needed to, like, he felt like they need to see this shit. Like, they need to understand that I am Vincent Kennedy McMahon, and WWF superstars are the best superstars. Everybody else ain't shit. This is why we won. We gonna put it in. You know what I mean? Some of these guys ain't never gonna go on TV. So,
yeah. Like, it really honestly felt like, hey, you got a wound? Here, let me throw some salt in it real quick. That's exactly what Vince did to all of us.
No, I need you to know that these guys aren't good enough, right? And the only thing that makes this compelling is that the guys that we had turned on us, and those guys will be the guys that will be important, right? So it's like, hey, I will let Austin be the guy in charge over there, because if it wasn't for that, it'd be irrelevant. I'll let Kurt Angle go over there, and because we need him. The Dudleys turned on us. You know what I mean? Because the thing is, they didn't have enough guys for WCW to populate. Now the guys they did get, like Canyon, DDP, Booker T, stuff like that, like I said, buried them right away. Away.
Yeah, this is true. And I know it's not questionable as why I call it the biggest burying job in wrestling history. Like, that can't be a question. Like, it can't possibly be. And I'm going to contend to that. And just to keep it clear, and the Invasion storyline was one of my favorite storylines to watch. I rewatch that shit all the time. So I'm not just talking like, oh, you know, it was just so horrible. Like, no, like, it's one of my favorite storylines, like, for real. But at the same time, it really had me questioning a lot of things. And I was just wondering, like, I know it was something in a previous show that we had talked about. Of course, this wasn't recent, but I can remember we were sitting here talking about the invasion storyline. And I remember you saying that they should have, kept it as two separate shows, two separate companies, and like when the Survivor Series happened, it should have been WCW that won and not WWF, and it would have gave them some time to continue the storyline and really get into it. But I feel like if they would have done it that way, then this is when you could have incorporated like Triple H and some of the others that weren't participating in the storyline before. That would have been that open door, but instead, Vince decided, nah, we're going to end this here. This is over with. We're done. We're going to go another direction. And then there was, the introduction of Ric Flair as a partner and, all that kind of stuff. It was a lot. It was deep. SummerSlam 2001 is one of my favorite pay-per-views because of it being in the middle of that storyline. It was very intriguing to watch, but at the same time, it was just kind of like, all right, is there any going to be any retaining of any titles, other than the WWF title, or is there going to be any? Of course, there were plenty of shenanigans. There was plenty of foolishness that was going on. It was ridiculous. Right. But at the same time, I understand it. I get it. You wanted to decide to throw your weight around. Hey, I know y'all came from the competition, so I'm going to give you about 6 months to work for me, and then I'm done with you. That's it. Some of them you never seen again after that storyline, and it was like, damn. You know what happened to them, but it wasn't no foul play. It wasn't nothing that wasn't clear. Like, that was it. You work for Vince or you don't work for Vince. You might work for me right now, but you might not work for me in 6 months. We just won't test it out to see. So I can go on and on about this, but for me, like, all of that was just really deep. It was really deep. Some of it was just kind of extra, but I enjoyed it though. I really did, and I just felt like there was some positives about all of that. There was definitely some positives about it, but of course it had its negatives. And I personally just, I really honestly just, I don't know. I guess I can say, like, the main event and everything, it could have went a whole nother way. It could have went a whole nother way. It could have been done different. It definitely could have brought something more interesting to the tape. Mm-hmm. But that's neither here nor there. Of course, it's what's done is done. All that other bullshit. But that's just personal feelings and experience with this whole thing. It's just like, all right. And that was fun. It was cool. But now, done. Over with. So that's just my whole take on the pay-per-view and all that in general. Anything having to do with this storyline, I am always willing to talk about. I'm always willing to discuss because I think I know too many details. You know what I'm saying? They're not all of them. So, yeah. That's kind of where I'm at right now. But it is what it is.
Right. No, definitely. So that is our recap of SummerSlam 2001. Let's go back on WWE Network. We will take suggestions for the next time we do this. You can email me at kholt@ringtimeprowrestling.com. You can catch us on social media. Because this is what I think. Hey, man, next time, if y'all put enough suggestions and we can pick out a winner, I'll announce it on the machine, and everybody can watch, and then everybody have a point of reference to come back to. So, yeah, that's that. And with that, we're going to wrap this up. Keith and Keisha out. Peace.